Day 114, Royal Kingdom, 1 Samuel 23, Psalm 53, let's begin. 1 Samuel 23. And they reported to David, saying, Behold, the Philistines are fighting against Keilah, and they are plundering the grain stores. Therefore David consulted the Lord, saying, Shall I go and strike down these Philistines? And the Lord said to David, Go, and you shall strike down the Philistines, and you shall save Keilah. And the men who were with David said to him, Behold, we continue in fear here in Judea. How much more so, if we go into Keilah against the troops of the Philistines? Therefore David consulted the Lord again. And responding, he said to him, Rise up, and go into Keilah. For I will deliver the Philistines into your hand. Therefore David and his men went into Keilah. And they fought against the Philistines, and they took away their cattle, and they struck them with a great slaughter. And David saved the inhabitants of Keilah. And in that time, when Abiathar, the son of Ahimelech, was in exile with David, he had descended to Keilah, having an ephod with him. Then it was reported to Saul that David had gone to Keilah. And Saul said, The Lord has delivered him into my hands. For he is enclosed, having entered into a city which has gates and bars. And Saul instructed all the people to descend in order to fight against Keilah, and to besiege David and his men. And when David had realized that Saul had secretly prepared evil against him, he said to Abiathar, the priest, Bring the ephod. And David said, O Lord God of Israel, your servant has heard a report that Saul is planning to go to Keilah, so that he may overturn the city because of me. Will the men of Keilah deliver me into his hands? And will Saul descend, just as your servant has heard? O Lord God of Israel, reveal to your servant. And the Lord said, He will descend. And David said, Will the men of Keilah deliver me, and the men who are with me, into the hands of Saul? And the Lord said, They will deliver you. Therefore David, and his men of about 600, rose up, and departing from Keilah, they wandered here and there, aimlessly. And it was reported to Saul that David had fled from Keilah, and was saved. For this reason, he chose not to go out. Then David stayed in the desert, in very strong places. And he stayed on a mount in the wilderness of Ziph, on a shady mount. Nevertheless Saul was seeking him every day. But the Lord did not deliver him into his hands. And David saw that Saul had gone out, so that he might seek his life. Now David was in the desert of Ziph, in the woods. And Jonathan, the son of Saul, rose up and went to David in the woods, and he strengthened his hands in God. And he said to him, Do not be afraid. For the hand of my father Saul will not find you. And you shall reign over Israel. And I will be second to you. And even my father knows this. Therefore they both struck a pact before the Lord. And David stayed in the woods. But Jonathan returned to his house. Then the Ziphites ascended to Saul at Gibeah, saying, Behold, is not David hidden with us in very secure places in the woods on the hill of Hachilah, which is to the right of the desert? Now therefore, if your soul has desired to descend, then descend. Then it will be for us to deliver him into the hands of the king. And Saul said, You have been blessed by the Lord, for you have grieved for my situation. Therefore I beg you, go forth, and prepare diligently, and act carefully. And consider the place where his foot may be, and who may have seen him there. For he thinks, concerning me, that I craftily planned treachery against him. Consider and seek out all his hiding places, in which he may be concealed. And return to me with certainty about the matter, so that I may go with you. But if he would even press himself into the earth, I will search him out, amid all the thousands of Judah. And rising up, they went to Ziph before Saul. But David and his men were in the desert of Maon, in the plain to the right of Jeshimon. Then Saul and his allies went to seek him. And this was reported to David. And immediately he descended to the rock, and he moved about in the desert of Maon. And when Saul had heard of it, he pursued David in the desert of Maon. And Saul went to one side of the mountain. But David and his men were on the other side of the mountain. Then David was despairing that he would be able to escape from the face of Saul. And Saul and his men enclosed David and his men in the manner of a crown, so that they might capture them. And a messenger came to Saul, saying, Hurry and come, because the Philistines have poured themselves out upon the land. Therefore Saul turned back, ceasing in the pursuit of David, and he traveled to meet the Philistines. For this reason, they called that place, the Rock of Division. Psalm 53. Unto the end. In verses, the understanding of David. When the Ziphites had arrived and they said to Saul, Has not David been hidden with us? Save me, O God, by your name, and judge me in your virtue. O God, listen to my prayer. Pay attention to the words of my mouth. For strangers have risen up against me, and the strong have sought my soul. And they have not set God before their eyes. For behold, God is my helper, and the Lord is the protector of my soul. Turn back the evils upon my adversaries, and ruin them by your truth. I will freely sacrifice to you, and I will confess your name, O God, because it is good. For you have quickly rescued me from all tribulation, and my eye has looked down upon my enemies.